Hey everyone, I'm Lauren McMillan, and today we're doing a quick sequence focusing on half moon pose. This is part of the Yoga Foundation series where we take a little bit of time to workshop and go into detail on some poses that you might run into in a studio class, but maybe you're unfamiliar with or haven't practiced before, or maybe you just want to get back to the basics. So let's get to it. Begin on your hands and knees, stacking shoulders over the wrists, hips over the knees, soften into the elbows just a little bit. As you inhale, drop your belly to the floor, lifting the heart and the hips for cow pose. Exhale, press the floor away, round the spine for cat. Inhale into cow. Exhale, curl it back to cat. One more time, inhale to cow. Exhale to cat. And then return to a neutral spine. Tuck all 10 toes under, press your knuckles into the floor, draw your core in, and then hover the knees just a little bit. Breathe, feeling the core start to heat up. And then release, sink the hips back over your heels for a brief child's pose. Walk your hands over to the left, reaching through the right fingertips, getting a nice side stretch along the right side of the body. And then walk your hands through center, take them over to the right. Return back to center, lift your hips. Come onto your hands and knees. From here, take your right shin and kick it off your mat like a kickstand. Rotate your hips, extending your left foot toward the back edge of your mat. Have your shoulders stacked over your wrist. You can place your left hand on your hip. You can take it straight up. You can keep your left foot on the floor or start to lift it, flexing at the ankle, drawing your toes toward your shin and kicking your heel away from you. Maybe take your arm over the ear, reaching in opposite directions. So this is the basic shape that we'll come into for half moon. This is just the variation with the knee on the floor. So you kind of get a feel for how it feels to stack your left hip over the right, open your shoulders to the side, and keep the leg lifted. Go ahead and lower it down. Lift your torso. Take your left hand to the left leg, reach the right arm up, and take a side bend to the left. And then release, we'll go to the other side. So this time take your left shin, kick it off the mat, turn the hips, right leg extends. Find whatever arm variation works for you. Option to float the leg off of the mat, staying active through the heel. And then release, lift up, right hand to right leg. The left arm reaches up, take a side bend to the right. Release, come back up, make your way back to your hands and knees, and then step back to a high plank position. Just like in cat-cow, all 10 fingers are pressing into the floor, and then send the hips back. Let's come into downward dog, pedaling out through the feet. Bending into one knee and then the other. As you bring your feet back to stillness, sweep the right leg up. Bend your knee, start to open your hip. Maybe you can look under your left shoulder and see your right toes. Straighten the leg, lower the right foot down beside the left. Sweep the left leg up, bend into the knee, open the hip. Try to keep the right shoulder in line with the left. Start to straighten the legs, square the hips, lower your left foot down beside the right. Take an inhale to pick the right leg up. As you look forward, bring the right foot up between the hands, dropping down into a lunge. Lower the back knee down. Inhale to sweep the arms up. Exhale to lower, send the hips back, half split. Come forward into a lunge. Tuck the back toes, lift the knee, and step back, downward dog. Inhale to pick the left leg up. Exhale, bring it through. Lower the right knee down. Inhale, take the arms up. Exhale to lower. Send the hips back, half split. Return to a lunge. Tuck the back toes, lift the knee. This time bend into the right leg, step to the front of your mat, forward fold. As you inhale, lift up halfway. Bring your hands to your hips, soften into the knees, come all the way up to stand. Take a deep inhale to reach both arms up. Grab onto the left wrist, reach up and over to the right. Come back up to center, switch your grip, reach to the left. Come up to center and lower your arms all the way down by your sides. Step the feet out wide, coming into warrior two. Turn the right toes out. Left toes are facing the long edge of your mat, and sweep the arms out to the sides. Flip the right palm up, reach up and back, reverse warrior. Release to warrior two. Bring forearm to thigh for extended side angle. Come back up to warrior two, straighten the right leg, rotate the toes, and we're just going to turn the feet to go the other way. So bend into the left knee, left toes are facing the short edge of the mat. Flip the left palm up, sweep it up and back. Release to warrior two, forearm to thigh, extended side angle. Come up to warrior two, straighten the left leg. We're going back to the right again. Turn the right toes out, bend into the knee, keeping it in line with the toes. Flip the right palm up, reach it back. Release to warrior two, come to extended side angle. If it's available in the hips, you can lower your hand down to the inside of the foot. You can also take your hand to a block. Come up to warrior two and then straighten the right leg. Start to reach forward with the right arm. Send the left hip back. When you can't reach any further, lower the right hand down for triangle pose. You can let your hand land wherever it lands, whether that's the thigh, the shin, the ankle, again, maybe a block. For more of a side stretch, take your left arm over the right. And if you'd like to challenge your core here, bring the right arm up so it's parallel to the floor. Breathe. Bend into the right knee, extended side angle. Come up to warrior two, straighten the right leg. We're finishing off this part on the other side. So if you have a block, go ahead and place it toward the left foot. Make your way to warrior two. Flip the left palm up, reach up and back. Release to warrior two, come into extended side angle. Again, either keeping your forearm on your thigh or lower your hand down to a block or maybe all the way to the floor. If you do lower your hand down, drop the hips just a little bit. Come back up to warrior two, straighten the left leg, reach forward with the left arm, right hip goes back, and then release into triangle pose. Try not to lock out the knees, keep a soft bend if you are locking out the knees. Maybe take the left arm out. Bend into the left knee, come back up to warrior two, straighten the right leg, rotate the left toes so both feet are facing the long edge of your mat. Open the arms wide and fold into a wide forward fold. You can hold on to the ankles, the floor, reach behind you. Bend your knees as much as you need to here. And release through the head and the neck. On your next inhale, lift up halfway, heel to the feet toward the middle of your mat, so they're about hip width apart. Lift up halfway, catch your hips with your hands, and then come all the way up to stand and shake the legs out. All right, so for half moon, I'm using a block. You don't have to use a block, but it can be nice. If you don't have a block and you want to use something similar, you can grab a book or a water bottle, something that's about this height. And it just helps bring the floor a little bit closer to you if you find that you're struggling to maybe reach toward the floor, or you just want something for a little additional balance. So set up for warrior two. If you have a block, hold on to it and bring your left hand to your hip. Drop down like you're coming into extended side angle. So right forearm to thigh. If you have a block, place it at about 1 o'clock. So about a foot in front of you and then about a foot over to the right. So right here, it's kind of on the right corner of my mat. Gaze is down to the right big toe. You're going to start to shift your weight into the right leg. So go ahead and walk your left foot in, maybe taking a few hops to get there. And maybe the first thing you do is just play with shifting your weight into the front leg. Keep a slight bend in this leg. If you lock out in the knee, you lose a ton of support. But by keeping the leg bent, it's a lot easier to balance and you're keeping the muscles of the legs pretty activated. So ground down through the toes. Once you feel like you've kind of got the hang of things, go ahead and lower your hand to the block. You may need to adjust your placement of the block, or if you do not have a block, you're going to reach your fingertips toward the floor. Now, maybe you just stay right here and get used to this feeling of being in this kind of awkward position, getting used to floating the leg, having your body shifted onto the right leg. Bring your left hand to your hip. Now, just like we did in our modified side plank, try to stack the hips. So open the left hip, so it's right on top of the right. Flex through the left foot like you're kicking something away from you. Check in with the right leg. And then if you feel pretty good here, you can take the left arm up. Shoulders are turned, so everything is facing the side edge of your mat. And then you can play with your gaze. So you can take the arm up. That'll challenge your balance for sure. But if that strains your neck to take your gaze up, just take your gaze down. And then if you really want to feel fancy here, you can play with taking your right hand off the floor or the block and coming here. When you're ready to release, bend deeply into the right knee. Maybe come back to warrior two. Maybe not. If you fall out of it, just be careful and then come right back into it. And then you'll go to the other side. So shake the legs out. If you're using a block, go ahead and move it. Start by setting up in warrior two and making your way into extended side angle. Keep in mind, one side might be totally different from the other. So if you didn't feel great about that first side, maybe the second side will treat you a little better. Lower the hips down. Right hand is to the hip. Take your gaze down to the left big toe and then find that spot where you're either going to reach your hand or your block. This time it's going to be at about 11 o'clock. So when you're ready, you can start by just playing with this weight transfer, shifting your weight into the standing leg, bending into that leg, grounding down through the foot, and then play with lifting the right leg up, letting it be light, but also letting it be strong and active. Open the right hip, square the shoulders to the right. You can play with your gaze, the position of the right arm. Again, if you fall out of it, just come right back into it. Breathe. Bend deeply into the left knee. Step back to release. Step the feet together and shake it out. And that's half moon. Thank you for tuning in and sharing your practice. Namaste.